Today we have a special guest all the way from Australia, currently living in Phuket, a world-renowned fighter and champion, Eddie Farrell. Hi, Eddie. How are you doing?
How you going, man? Good, thank you.
Nice, man. Thank you for being on the show with me today.
It's all right. All good.
Okay. So, Eddie, can you tell us who is Eddie Farrell?
Me, pretty much. No, just a Muay Thai fighter and a fighter that's been living in Thailand for 5 years, taking up the trying to do our best with full-time fighting and training. So, yeah, and we own our gym now in Rawai in Phuket. So we run a gym and we still fight.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you currently live in Phuket for 5 years, you say, and you've been a fighter for 5 years? Or how long have you been fighting for?
Yeah, I was fighting probably for like 3 years before I came over. So it's been about 8 years now. So yeah, and we just made the move over to Thailand. We didn't know what we were really going to do. We just knew we were going to train and fight Muay Thai, and Brooke hadn't fought yet, so just wanted to see if she liked it, and she loved it, so she went down the same path.
Okay, so in a short 8-year career, in a sense, you've achieved quite a lot in the fighting industry. Do you want to tell us a bit about your accolades or your achievements?
We just wanted to get experience when we were starting, just fighting, and it's always people's dream to be like the best you can be, like the best, always try to be the best in the world at what you do. But we're just fighting locally, and then bigger fight opportunities popped up. We moved to Bangkok, we moved around Thailand a bit, and took some late notice fights, just putting your hand up for good opportunities, but just jumping in, and then sometimes you can win those fights and you just further your career.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then tell me, how did you initially get started in the fighting industry?
Fighting, it was through, I was doing security work at the time, and my boss wanted all the security guys to do kickboxing. So that's how I started it.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it was really, really fun. It was my first time doing like fitness training instead of weights, and I really liked it. So I was thinking more about, I was having fun because I liked it instead of thinking about the fitness. So it was good for both.
Okay, and how old were you when you started?
Oh, I was actually 20 when I started, and I did a bit of boxing with my dad when I was growing up, but I didn't take it seriously because I just wanted to party and hang out with my friends and stuff. But when I was about 20, 21, I took it seriously, stopped drinking and stuff. And
Okay. And tell me, how do you think your childhood shaped you for a career in fighting? How do you think your personal experiences up until the age of 20 actually made you a better fighter?
It's a good question. I think everyone has all different childhoods and upbringings, and some guys are naturally fighters because they're just their childhood and it's a bit rough, and they're fighters in that way. But other people find fighting through discipline and they have a good upbringing and stuff. But for me, I always I did fight on the street a lot when I was young, and just through my upbringing and just my friends, that's just what I thought was normal, but it's not really normal. And then I moved away, and then I hung around good people that were like on the straight and narrow, and they introduced me to it. So I think for me, I was exposed to like the fighting side of it and early, and that's what made me think that I could be a fighter. But
Okay, and tell me, how do you think your perception of fighting changed, or your mindset of fighting changed prior to starting fighting? And obviously in your childhood, good to see you fought normal street fights, but how do you think it's different now? Your mindset.
It's totally different. Because at the time, it's just like you don't think about it. It's not like really premeditated. Like you bump into someone, it just happens, and you bloody punch it on. But with fighting and martial arts, it's an organized date to fight, and then it's discipline and training, and when you don't want to, but you do it because it's a sacrifice and an art. And I wouldn't say it's fighting at all. It's time and hard work, and so I don't. By the time competition comes, people are like, "You ready? You angry?" It's like, it's totally opposite. You sacrifice so much for it. You don't want to blow it by. It's not really a fight. It's all the art and hard work you put into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Just to like obviously hear your perception of it. Like you say, it's an art now. Now it's about discipline, the hard work you put in to prepare for the fight. As opposed to previously, it was just, it was based on aggression, based on reacting to a threat, let's say. So it's completely different. And how do you think the role discipline has played in your life? How did you start becoming disciplined? Did you find it easy?
Yeah, no, it's definitely not easy. But once you get it, and once you like do a training camp or even just train and like sacrifice the things originally, like you stop drinking, you stop socializing as much, and you enjoy the training and socializing at trainings enough, and you develop into a habit and a lifestyle of training and sleeping and eating and sacrificing. And once I think you've done that, even people that come into Thailand and do it for like 2 weeks, they get in the routine, they can set that routine for back at home. I think that's how you like say, okay, I can do it. If you stick it out for 3 weeks, it forms a habit. And then, that's the hard part done. You just got to keep going.
Okay, awesome. Obviously, that's also something that I've realized is really important. It's like you say, having the structure and developing the discipline, not only in fighting, but in different aspects of your life. That's why you said it's like it's martial art, it's art. And how do you feel about different challenges outside of life now? How do you handle challenges since you've learned the art of discipline, need to say?
Yeah, so I think everything should transfer over. Like you were saying, like I trained for a while and just trained for Muay Thai and still struggled with things in my life. When you start training or do anything, you should train as a whole, as a person. So if I train like patience and discipline and composure in sparring and in the ring, that should, like I want it to. So I've been training myself as well. Like when I talk to someone, to have patience and just stuff like that. So like why not? Like you've trained it in other ways, like transfer it over so you're a good person and you do better. You improve as a person as well as a fighter. I think that's more important, because you'll stop fighting and then you want, that's when a lot of fighters might feel lost because they stop fighting, but you can always keep improving as a person. Or go coaching or something.
And that's awesome. Like you said, the skills are transferable to other areas of your life. Like you said, the discipline, understanding the importance of routine and getting your mind right. And these are the important aspects to help you succeed in different areas of your life. Tell me, how do you think the role is actually played in your life, moving from, like you said, coming to Phuket, wanting to try out fighting, not even being completely into it, to owning a gym and helping people?
Sorry, I missed half that question. It skipped. So can you say it again?
How do you think, so, like you mentioned, that the skills are transferable, the important skills, like being disciplined, getting your mind right, focusing on your inner work as well. How do you think you've used those skills when you made the transfer from moving to Thailand, okay, about 8 years ago or 5 years ago, not even being fully into fighting, to being a gym owner and actually coaching people to become fighters themselves? How do you think that's actually helped you?
Through all the training and discipline and hard work, and I guess it's like, it's a good time to open a gym now, because we actually had a gym in Australia before we moved over like 5 years ago. But looking back now, it was cool what we were doing and stuff, but definitely more experience now with like coaching, and it's like training the people to slow down in their head as well. It's not just learning, like I even struggle now, like teaching people. I need to think back on how people learn, and it's not just about the techniques, it's like how their brain works to understand it and how it transfers over to them to actually like adapting the technique. Like they need to go, oh, that works good for me, to learn it, instead of it seeing it as just a technique that, they need to think that that's going to go into their style. Or sorry, I got a bit lost in the question, but
Okay, no worries. So you also mentioned there that, you have to adapt obviously your teaching skills, and that sometimes it is difficult as a fighter or anybody doing something. You can be a professional, like in football, but moving from being a player, the athlete, to the coach making transition is very different, because now you need to actually understand the different elements that goes into teaching, how to teach that skill that you've learned over the years to this person.
Yeah.
So you mentioned
That's good.
that it's been obviously a bit challenging, but how do you think that's helped you grow?
It's definitely hard. Like that was a good question. Even the first part about saying, how do you teach? If you just say there's a good fighter, like a superstar fighter, and then he goes to being a coach, it actually doesn't make him a good coach. Being a good fighter, yeah, he knows how to fight, and he's got like in his brain, but he has to get out how he fights and word it properly and break it down day by day to create the fighter that you're coaching for them to understand it. Because I get frustrated when I coach, is I want them to learn too fast. I want them to put it all in their head, and I need to understand you can't teach. No one can take it all in too fast. If anything, you put too much in their head, and you slow the learning down because you're flooding them. So you need patience to be a coach. You need to know what you're talking about, and you need to know how people learn in different ways, and you need to be patient as hell.
Okay.
But plus you need to be hard and have a good balance of being hard and soft at the same time.
Yeah. Like you mentioned there, it's very important that you don't overwhelm them as well, because many times people make the mistake of expecting people to learn at the pace that we learn. Okay, expecting to know the things that we know, but we're not realizing that they're the student. We need to nurture them. So tell me, what techniques and tools do you utilize to help yourself develop greater patience and become a better coach?
Patience. I need to work on this. I even talked to Brooke about me learning these skills, because I get like pretty manic in my head, like fast, and I need patience, and I need to I do like breathing things for myself. I try and breathe 5 breaths before I even respond in conversation, because I get like ideas in my head and I want to spit them out fast before I think about it. So I think just slowing down and breathing and thinking before you talk. It sounds easy, but this is what I struggle on myself. So I think everyone would, and that transfers over to learning and being patient and composure, not being crazy in the ring and not being, so I think patience is huge. Patience and slowing down and trying to understand instead of just going too full ball at whatever you're trying to learn.
And like you said, it's obviously transition is from being an athlete, the fighter, to now being a coach can obviously is a very different ball game, because that served you, being able to just be fast, served you in your time as a fighter. But as a coach, you need to be more composed, I can say, more patient. Whereas as a fighter, you need to be able to, okay, let me see how fast I can put out, how fast I can learn, how fast I can be. So it's also identifying that, yes, it serves you in that area. It doesn't mean it serves you in the next area of your life.
No way. That's why I think the best coaches out there, if you look at them all, actually don't know the stats, but I reckon the better coaches weren't the best fighters, and the best fighters aren't the best coaches, because I think they had it all when they were a superstar, and then when they go to coaching, they just want to relax and just chill and get paid. And there's some that still have the fire and passion, but a lot of fighters that have gone to coaching was the fire's gone out, and that means it's not usually, it's gone out even for coaching at the gym. They're a bit like tired and bored. But I think guys that go to coaching earlier before they're burnt out and they still love Muay Thai, but they realize they like coaching more than fighting, and they still have the fire. That's when you want to get on board with a trainer or a coach, because his passion is to teach you, not someone just,
Okay. Awesome insight to me there. And then tell me, Eddie, how do you manage, or tell me a bit about, as a fighter, aggression, the role aggression plays in you being at your peak. How do you get yourself to be at your peak before a fight? Besides the discipline aspect, like you said, it's discipline and you training way before then, but moments before the fight or now before the fight, whenever it is, how do you put yourself in a state of, I need to be ready now in peak performance?
Yeah, that's huge. A lot of guys do the hard training, the mental training, and they're all fine. But on fight day, it can all go to shit, and you can
Mm-hmm.
lose the plot. Or so I think the short answer is that works for me is don't think about anything. Just try and like practice mindfulness and
Mm-hmm.
being present.
Mm-hmm.
But like, to break it down for people that don't like meditation or it's a bit too
Mm-hmm.
deep for them, just don't think about, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, just tell yourself the nerves are, it's energy, it's excitement. Don't overthink it, and just
Okay.
don't think, and just know what they're there to do. You know you're going to get in the ring, so do it as best as you can, and fight hard, but
Mm-hmm.
don't overthink it. Yeah, I think a lot of people overthink it. They get scared, or they don't deal with accepting they're going to fight. They accept the fight, like the date and the opponent, and then they train for it, but they don't accept that until the last hour. And a lot of people flip out in that last hour when they're
Yeah.
getting their hands done, or they just flip out because they should have accepted it earlier and dealt with it earlier.
Okay.
Like, you can do some like pre-fight meditation. I do like a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks out, and that for me, it accepts that I've taken the fight. I've visualized myself at the stadium getting my hands done,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have the feeling, and I've accepted it early. I don't visualize the fight, but I accept it to myself. And then when the day of the fight comes, I walk up the steps, I go to the ring, and I know it's happening, and it's
Yeah.
normal. And I've felt these feelings in my stomach before through the
Mm-hmm.
visualizations. But a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people ignore it and then go to fight, and they flip out and freak out an
Mm-hmm.
hour before or on the day.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I love the fact that you say one of the tools you use is visualization beforehand, and that's awesome because it can help, like you say, lower your anxiety beforehand already. So when you get to the ring, you already know how to handle it. Um,
Yeah.
Now tell me, so you mentioned a lot that you use mindful meditation or meditation to quiet your mind before getting in the ring. So I've never fought professionally, or I've never fought before. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, I do train some Muay Thai, but just that's fine. What I want to know is tell me a bit about being in peak zone, because do you want to unleash the beast in you, or do you want to remain calm? You as a person, as a fighter, when you're about to step on the stage, do you want to release the beast in you, or do you want to remain calm?
That's a good question, because like I myself, I want to unleash the beast,
Mm-hmm.
but to unleash the beast, it needs to be done in the training. It's not
Mm-hmm.
gonna just come out. You need to train that. You need to train, like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to, without killing all your sparring partners and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
need to train how you're going to fight. Because I've trained a guy before, and he said, I was getting frustrated in training, saying, "Man,
Mm-hmm.
you need to do this. You need to switch on more." And he goes, "Trust me, man. Like, when I fight, it's like a light switch. Like, as soon as I get in that ring, I'll just go. I'll go
Mm-hmm.
off." And in the fight, I was like, "Bro, the switch is on, and you're not going off." So
Yeah.
you actually, if you say, I'm going to be a crazy fighter, you need to train that. You need to
Mm-hmm.
not train the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
like the feeling of when you're in that mode in sparring, and you being an animal. You need to, like, bite your tongue, and then remember that feeling through the pain,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then do that just before you fight, like, bite your
Mm-hmm.
tongue so that feeling comes back. That's what my
Awesome.
the owner of the gym does. He has like
Mm-hmm.
little
Yeah.
trigger point that
Yeah.
relate to. But yeah,
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, like what you said there is basically associating the beast mode or the animal mode with biting your tongue, and that's an awesome way or technique to obviously step back
yeah,
into that state. Um,
yeah,
so great advice there. And then, so your wife is also a fighter, Brooke.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. And tell me, how do you think that complements you or supplements you to go towards your dream of being obviously a great fighter and coach? Mm-hmm. Having us.
Um, yeah, like it's yeah. So Brooke came over intending to fight, and she did, and she liked it. So yeah, that created her own journey and her own career for herself. But a lot of the time, promoters, and when we go to fight, we fight in the same card, which
Mm-hmm.
is like a bit conflicting, because on the day of the fight, like we were saying before, there's a lot of energy, and the fight has to be for you. Whether I'm fighting with my wife on the card or whatever, I need to be
Mm-hmm.
selfish and say, this is my journey, this is my
Mm-hmm.
fight, and I can't put any energy into her.
Okay.
Which is like, it's crazy to say that, but that's how you have to be a
Mm-hmm.
fighter. So yeah, a lot of the time, I love my wife, but I put too much energy into her while I was fighting on the same time,
Yeah.
and it's just it's just not good. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've cornered her, I've been sweaty, yelling, having adrenaline dumps for
Mm-hmm.
her fight. Then I have to put on the gloves on and then fight, and I'm tired. So you need to be selfish, and it needs to be your own journey if you want to be a
Mm-hmm.
fighter. Whether your wife does it, your son does it,
Yeah.
whatever, you need to separate it and say this is for me, because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not a joke. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like what you mentioned there, is amazing because it's really important advice. Because, like you say, this is for you. So the journey we're on, ultimately, we can love everybody around us, our family, siblings, our wife. But at the end of the day, if you make a decision that I need to go for something with it's your goal, and you need to put all your effort into it, and like you said, you can't split your focus. When you're splitting your focus, obviously you're losing out at the end of the day.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Please tell me a bit about, how do you, obviously being a world-renowned fighter, how do you manage your ego in a sense? Do you ever just, because I mean, walking around knowing that I can beat up almost everyone or anyone, and people, because you have to get the eye every now and then from guys. Guys, it's always the ego, especially if you're out.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
You see heaps of fighters having egos, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but see, I shake my head at it because I don't know how they get around. Like, that can't last too long, just trying to be a tough guy and walk
Mm-hmm.
around and with an ego. But I personally, I I don't know how other people look at me, but I think I have like no ego. Like, I'm always
Mm-hmm.
tired from training, and
Yeah.
I'm nice to everyone until someone's rude to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I never try and put that out there, and I see it a lot, and I don't understand it really, because yeah, they're living more of an image, yeah, for their ego to be a fighter and be portrayed that way,
Mm-hmm.
when um yeah, I don't see the time in it when you put so much effort and energy into being a fighter and at training and at the gym, and then people want that image. I don't think it lasts that long.
Mm-hmm.
They're not real fighters. They're not real fighters, real martial artists.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you mentioned is obviously, like, back again to the art, back again to the fact that you need to develop discipline to obviously control your emotions and control the fact that, um, because like someone saying something to you, you need to be able to say, you know what, I'll remain calm. I don't need to show him that I can do this, or I can beat him up or something. Okay. And then tell me, Eddie, so you and your wife have started a gym. You said it's called Powerhouse. Is that correct?
Yes, right.
Powerhouse. Okay. And what's on the cards for your gym in the future, and for yourself as well?
It was looking like, we were looking to open whenever we can, but with all these restrictions with this flu
Mm-hmm.
going around. There was good news today and last night, actually, with Pattaya lifting
Mm-hmm.
restrictions. I don't know if you heard about it.
I
So
haven't.
Pattaya is lifting some restrictions, so which is like the first sign of good news that it's getting better and things will start to open again.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so hopefully we'll be open May 1. If not, it's May 14. We've
Mm-hmm.
been getting, like, that's the date, and we're really happy with that. That Yeah, it's not too far away, and we'll just open again, get it cranking, and at least we can train and fight ourselves. It might be a little bit
Yeah.
quiet with tourism and stuff, but we just want to be able to train again, just
Okay.
ourselves and stuff like that.
And what's your vision with regards to your gym? You want to have it one of the best fighting gyms? What's the vision that you have in the future, that you're working towards?
Yeah, so yeah, the gym sort of came spare of the moment. It sounds strange to hear that,
Mm-hmm.
but like the gym that we were at, we had a big team together, and the gym just went to bits. And yeah, so um, we started our own gym up, so we didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have a vision except train each other, have fun, and fight. And
Okay.
but now, when it was quite successful and it's doing well, and it's more of it's a long term thing now, because
Mm-hmm.
we have a gym and it's our home. So we want to be the best gym to train, to have the best training. We
Okay.
want to train people and have everything that we didn't really have when we were in Thailand, and what we complained about and what we were thinking, oh, I wish we had that, or I wish
Mm-hmm.
that was better. We want to try and make it the best possible place for people to come and learn martial arts and be happy and treated well. And yeah, that's my vision anyway.
Awesome. Awesome. And then tell me, last question. Um, what's your vision for your fighting career going forward?
With mine, it's not so much. It wasn't so. when I was like really, really like focusing to be like a
Mm-hmm.
world champion, the best in the world. It's not so much that anymore. It's more just to prove to myself that I can be a better fighter, and I
Okay.
like more stuff to prove to myself. And who knows where that will lead. It'll still lead to big shows and good fights, but I'm not pushing for like fame and to be a world champion. I just want to show myself that I want to be evolve as a fighter and a person, like we were saying before. That's all I
Mm-hmm.
want. And who
Okay.
knows how far that will go. So, yeah.
Awesome. Eddie, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to me and share your story on the show.
Okay. Thanks for the time too, mate. It was good. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.